Chosen one. You did not stumble into this moment. You were summoned. Something in the unseen has been pulling you, guiding you, aligning you with this very word, because heaven has decided it is time for you to remember who you truly are. Long before you knew how to pray, long before you understood the weight of your tears, a divine identity was placed within you, a hidden bloodline, a sacred origin, a mark that only the anointed carry. You have felt it since childhood. The sensitivity, the dreams, the attacks, the unexplainable protection. These were not coincidences. These were markers placed in your spirit, signs that you were set apart, just as God declared in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Chosen. One. Heaven is unveiling what has been concealed. You are standing at the threshold of a revelation that will shift your spirit, awaken your authority, and realign your destiny. Your inner battles, your unusual endurance, your deep discernment, all of it has been proof of the supernatural imprint you carry. This is a divine appointment, a moment of recognition, a spiritual awakening ordained to transform your body, your spirit, and even the atmosphere around your life. Open your heart. What you are about to receive will confirm everything your soul has been whispering for years. Chosen one. There is a reason your spirit feels stirred in this moment, as if something ancient and familiar is rising from within you. Every time life has pressed you, every time you felt the weight of invisible battles or the strange pull of destiny, it was because heaven had already marked you. This calling has followed you since childhood, showing up in the quiet things you could never explain. You were the one who sensed danger before it arrived, the one who carried burdens you couldn't put into words, the one who felt a deep knowing in your soul, even when others dismissed what you saw and felt. These were not coincidences, but confirmations. The Anointed One always feels the shift before the world sees it, and today, heaven is unveiling what you have carried in silence for years. Come closer now and feel the truth unfolding in your chest, as if a sealed scroll is being opened inside you, revealing the hidden phrases God wrote into your spirit long before you understood their meaning. I know what it feels like to walk through a season where everything around you seems louder than the voice within, where worries race through your mind at night and sleep feels far away. I've been in those places too, standing in the quiet darkness, whispering prayers I wasn't sure heaven heard. Yet every time I reached a breaking point, something shifted in a way I couldn't rationalize. Help came from people I didn't expect. Strength emerged on days I thought were lost. Peace rose in the middle of storms that should have broken me. It took time to understand that these weren't random moments. They were the fingerprints of the same God who now calls you into this moment with clarity and purpose. Chosen one. Heaven is not presenting you with new information. It is reminding you of what you have always been. You have survived things others did not. You have risen from places meant to bury you. You have walked away from situations that tried to silence the light inside you. These victories were not accidental. They were evidence of the supernatural covering over your life, a covering that is being amplified now because your identity can no longer remain hidden. Notice how your heart leans forward when truth speaks. Notice how your spirit recognizes this moment even before your mind can process it. The anointed always feel the tug of destiny before they understand the assignment. There is a reason certain people opposed you for no clear cause, why certain rooms felt heavy the moment you walked in, why some individuals reacted to your presence as if confronted by a light they didn't want exposed. Your identity has always spoken before your mouth did. The battles you faced were not because you were weak, but because you were chosen, and chosen vessels attract resistance that reveals their strength. I remember seasons when I kept trying to fit into places that rejected me, unaware that the rejection was protection. I tried to stay in circles that drained me, unaware that God was shifting me toward alignment. You too have ignored signs at times thinking it was your fault, when in truth, heaven was redirecting your steps. What you thought were setbacks were actually detours away from what could not hold your calling. The same power that redirected me is redirecting you. Chosen one. The presence of God is drawing near to you, not to burden you, but to remind you that you have never walked alone. You are stepping into a time where clarity will replace confusion and where peace will silence fear before it even begins to take root. When Scripture says in Psalm 139 verse 14 that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, it is not poetry. It is identity. It is the explanation for why you feel deeply, why you perceive beyond the surface, why your heart carries a sensitivity others do not understand. You were crafted differently because your purpose required a different design. The time has come to stop apologizing for your depth and begin recognizing it as evidence of your anointing. Every moment in your past is becoming a tool in your future. The wounds are becoming wisdom. The tears are becoming oil, the loneliness is becoming clarity, and the identity that once hid inside you is beginning to rise. Chosen one. You are being prepared to walk in a supernatural life, one where what you carry within will finally be seen without. Your steps are being aligned, your heart recalibrated, and your spirit awakened. Stay present in this moment, for heaven is not finished speaking, and what comes next will open your understanding in ways you never imagined. Chosen one. As you continue to breathe in the stillness of this moment, you may begin to notice how the atmosphere around you shifts, almost as if something unseen has settled over your shoulders. This is not imagination, it is alignment. Every time heaven draws near, the spirit becomes aware before the mind understands. And right now, there is a gentle but undeniable pull, guiding you into deeper recognition of who you truly are. You have lived most of your life sensing things others overlook, feeling emotions others dismiss, and discerning intentions long before people reveal them. These sensitivities were never flaws, never weaknesses, never burdens, as some tried to convince you they were. They were the early signs of the anointing that rests upon your life, the spiritual radar given only to those chosen to walk a path that requires insight beyond the surface. If you look back honestly, you will see that there have been moments when your discernment saved you, when an inner nudge stopped you from entering dangerous spaces, when an unexplainable heaviness warned you to walk away from someone who did not wish you well. These weren't coincidences, but confirmations that your spirit has always been connected to a higher voice, even when you doubted it. There were seasons when you questioned why certain people withdrew from you, why friendships faded without explanation, or why some individuals seemed unsettled in your presence despite your kindness toward them. What you didn't realize then is that your spirit speaks before your lips do, and those who walk in darkness are often uncomfortable around the light, even if they cannot identify what makes them uneasy. You carry a spiritual authority that exposes what others try to hide, and this authority has been active in your life long before you were aware of it. This is why you felt out of place in certain environments, why you could never fully blend in with the crowd, why the ordinary world never felt like home. The path of the anointed is rarely smooth because it is shaped uniquely for the one chosen to walk it. I remember a time in my own journey when I kept asking why I felt disconnected from people who seemed content with surface-level living while I carried questions with no easy answers. There were days when loneliness sat beside me like an unwanted companion, and I wondered if something was wrong with me. It took years to understand that what I perceived as isolation was actually separation for elevation. Heaven was training my spirit to hear clearly, to see deeply, and to stand firmly even when no one else stood with me. Chosen one, you have experienced similar seasons, times when life felt stripped of comfort or clarity, yet something within you pushed you to keep going. That inner resilience was not accidental. It was your spiritual DNA awakening. It was the mark placed upon you from birth, reminding you that you were never meant to collapse under the weight of adversity. Instead, you were shaped to rise through it, carrying the strength and wisdom gained from each trial as tools for the future. There is a reason your heart is drawn to deeper things, while others settle for shallow living. You have always sensed that life is layered, that there is more happening in the unseen than what the eyes can perceive, and that your place in this world is connected to a divine storyline that stretches far beyond your understanding. This awareness is not new. It has been with you since childhood, when you felt different but couldn't articulate why, when you saw beauty or danger in places others walked past without a second thought, when you felt compassion so deeply that it almost hurt. These were early revelations of the anointing you carry, an anointing that shapes your perception, your emotions, your intuition, and your destiny. As you reflect on your journey, you may notice patterns that repeat themselves not by accident, but by intention. Every repeated lesson is a sign of divine refinement. Every closed door is evidence of heavenly protection. Every betrayal is a redirection away from people who could not be trusted with your calling. These patterns have woven together to form the foundation of your spiritual identity, an identity heaven is bringing into focus now with greater clarity than ever before. Chosen one, everything you have experienced, both the pain and the beauty, has been shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of your purpose without collapsing beneath it. You are being strengthened, refined, and awakened because the time for your hidden identity to rise has come. What once confused you will soon make sense as heaven continues to unfold the meaning behind the signs that have always followed your life. Chosen one. As you allow these truths to settle gently into your spirit, you may begin to realize that the moments you once considered random were actually divine threads woven together with extraordinary precision. There have been days when you walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift before a single word was spoken, and you wondered why your presence carried such weight. There have been nights when your dreams felt more like messages than memories filled with symbols you could not interpret but could not forget. These experiences were not accidents, and they were never meant to be brushed aside. They were early hints of a spiritual identity that has been quietly awakening, waiting for the moment when you would finally recognize what heaven has placed inside you. You carry a depth that cannot be imitated, a sensitivity that cannot be taught, and a spiritual awareness that cannot be ignored. Even when you tried to silence it, it whispered. Even when you tried to fit in, it resisted. Even when you tried to dim yourself to make others comfortable, the light within you kept pushing forward like a flame, refusing to be smothered. This is what happens when a soul has been marked from the beginning, molded for a purpose that cannot be erased by circumstances, misunderstandings, or opposition. I remember moments in my own journey when I wrestled with this feeling of too much, too perceptive, too emotional, too aware, too different. I wondered why my heart reacted to things others dismissed, why certain words pierced me deeply, or why silence sometimes felt louder than noise. It took time to understand that this was not fragility, but spiritual attunement. The anointed perceive what others overlook. The chosen carry an inner knowing that acts as both shield and compass. You too have felt the weight of knowing without explanation, of sensing truth before evidence appears, of hearing what was never spoken aloud. This is not accidental. It is part of the spiritual coding written into your being. There were times when you questioned your worth because of this difference, when people made you feel like your sensitivity was a weakness rather than a divine strength. Yet notice how this very weakness protected you, how it warned you, how it guided you, how it positioned you away from people who meant you harm, even when you didn't understand why you felt uneasy around them. Your spiritual instincts have always been more accurate than your logical mind, and heaven has been training you to trust this inner compass, the same compass that has preserved your purpose through storms that could have broken you. You survived situations that crushed others, not because you were lucky, but because you were destined. There have been moments when you walked away from betrayal with a dignity you didn't know you possessed, moments when your heart healed in ways that defied logic, moments when clarity came at the exact second you needed it. These are the fingerprints of the divine on your life, subtle yet undeniable reminders that you are watched over, guided, and protected. Your journey has been uniquely designed, filled with trials that forged your strength and revelations that shaped your wisdom. Some of your deepest pains became the soil where your greatest discernment grew. Some of your heaviest losses became the doorway to your most necessary breakthroughs. And some of your most confusing seasons became the training ground for the identity that is rising within you now. Chosen one. Heaven has not been silent about your life. It has been speaking in patterns in people, in pauses, in unexpected blessings, and in the gentle tug on your spirit that you could never quite explain. The moments you thought were coincidences were confirmations, the interruptions were interventions, the delays were protection. You were never being punished, you were being prepared. Think back to the times when you felt a peculiar pull away from a decision that looked good on the surface. Later, you discovered something harmful was hidden behind it. That was divine shielding. Think about the opportunities that fell apart only for something far better to appear later, something that aligned with your spirit in a way the previous option never could. That was divine timing. Think about the people who exited your life abruptly, leaving confusion in their wake, yet their absence allowed your peace to return. That was divine separation. These patterns have shaped the path you walk today, a path that requires someone with your depth, your resilience, your compassion, and your spiritual awareness. You have not been wandering without direction. You have been guided, refined, and positioned for a moment such as this. Chosen one. The signs heaven placed in your life are now becoming clearer because you are finally ready to understand what they mean. The identity you once questioned is now unfolding with undeniable clarity, and everything in your past is aligning itself to support the purpose rising within you. Chosen one. As your awareness deepens, you may begin to see your life with a new lens, one that reveals not only the events you endured, but the intention behind them. Many moments that once felt confusing now begin to align like pieces of a divine mosaic, forming a picture of someone who was never ordinary, someone who carried spiritual significance, even when they had no language for it. You have walked through seasons where you felt carefully observed by forces you could not see, where you sensed that the battles around you had layers far beyond the physical. Those moments were not imagination. They were the early signs that your life interacts with the unseen in ways most people never experience. The anointed ones often notice patterns and synchronicities others overlook. Perhaps you caught yourself seeing repeating numbers at pivotal moments, or felt sudden shifts of energy when entering certain places, or sensed when someone's intentions did not match their words. These are not random sensitivities. They are spiritual indicators, the inner alarms given to those chosen to navigate life with divine assistance. I remember times when I felt an inexplicable pull to pause, to wait, to silence my mind before making a decision. I didn't realize then that heaven was training my spirit to recognize the subtle movements of guidance. You too have received this training, though it often came wrapped inside difficult experiences. Every time you survived something that should have ruined you, every time you walked through emotional fire, yet emerged wiser, every time you felt a peace that made no sense given the chaos around you, heaven was strengthening the foundation of your identity. There is a strength inside you that did not come from ease, but from endurance. And it is this strength that now reveals why certain things had to unfold the way they did. Chosen one. Notice how your spirit reacts when truth is spoken. It does not merely hear, it remembers. This is because your identity was written long before your struggles began. The calling on your life predates the pain, and your destiny was established before your opposition appeared. The world may have mislabeled you, underestimated you, or misunderstood you, but heaven never did. Heaven saw your resilience when others saw your quietness. Heaven saw your discernment when others saw your discomfort. Heaven saw your compassion when others saw your vulnerability. Heaven saw your potential when others saw your wounds. There have been times when people questioned your reactions because they did not understand what your spirit was sensing. You reacted to intentions, not appearances. You responded to energies, not expressions. You withdrew not out of fear, but out of spiritual protection. What felt like overthinking to others was often discernment. What looked like hesitation was divine timing. What appeared as oversensitivity was actually spiritual awareness. These traits are common among the chosen, for their spirits operate on frequencies higher than the world is willing to acknowledge. You have always carried an invisible weight, a sense of responsibility that others your age did not share. Even as a child, you noticed things others ignored, sensed tension in rooms before anyone spoke, felt compassion for people who hid their pain, and carried burdens you didn't yet understand. These early signs were fragments of your calling, revealing themselves before you knew what a calling was. And as you grew, life continued shaping you, carving depth into your soul through hardship, teaching you to listen through silence, and refining your perception through disappointment. Nothing you experienced was wasted. Not the tears you cried in secret, not the betrayals you endured quietly, not the moments when your strength shook but did not break, not the nights you stayed awake searching for peace that only came at dawn. All of it has contributed to the spiritual authority you now carry, an authority that cannot be taught in classrooms or obtained through titles. It is earned through survival, strengthened through surrender, and activated through revelation. Chosen one, you have stepped into a season where heaven is illuminating your identity piece by piece. And as this illumination unfolds, you may notice that some people can no longer remain connected to you. Their spirits cannot handle the elevation of yours. This is not punishment, it is separation by design. People who lack spiritual depth cannot understand the chosen, because chosen vessels see and feel beyond the visible. This separation is a sign that your life is shifting into alignment with a higher purpose, one where confusion gives way to clarity and fear gives way to faith. As this awakening continues, you will find yourself recalling memories with new understanding. Situations you once blamed yourself for will reveal themselves as necessary lessons. People you once admired will be recognized as distractions. Paths you once pursued will appear too small for the magnitude of your calling. Everything around you is being rearranged to match the truth rising within you. Chosen one. What is happening in your spirit right now is not random, it is recognition. The divine is revealing what has always been true about you, and the weight of this truth marks the beginning of a transformation that will touch every part of your life. Chosen one. As your spirit continues to awaken, you may start to realize how deeply heaven has been involved in your story, even in the moments when you felt abandoned or unseen. There were seasons when your heart questioned the silence, when prayers seemed to linger unanswered, when you wondered if your faith was wasted on a future that felt too far away. Yet now, as clarity begins to rise like sunlight over a long night, you can finally recognize that the silence was not absence, but preparation. Heaven was not withholding from you. Heaven was shaping you. Every delay refined your patience, every disappointment sharpened your discernment, and every closed door redirected your steps toward something more aligned with your true identity. I remember a time in my own journey when I begged God to reveal why life felt so heavy, why certain relationships fell apart, why opportunities dissolved before my eyes. I didn't understand then that heaven often rearranges our lives before revealing the reason. And only after stepping into a higher season did I finally see that what I thought was loss was actually protection from paths that could not hold the weight of my calling. Chosen one. You have experienced similar moments where clarity came not in the beginning, but in the unfolding. Every time life pulled something away from you, it was making space for something greater. Every time your heart was broken, it created room for deeper compassion and spiritual strength. Every time you were pushed into solitude, it was so heaven could speak to you without interference. These refining seasons are not punishments, but invitations, calls to rise into the identity heaven has written into your spirit. You have carried this identity for so long that it may feel both familiar and foreign. Familiar because your spirit has always known it. Foreign because your mind is only now catching up to what your soul has understood since birth. There have been moments in your life when you felt an unexplainable pull toward meaning, toward purpose, toward something greater than your surroundings. While others found comfort in routine, you felt the stirring of a mission. While others were satisfied with the surface, you craved depth. While others dismissed signs, you recognized them instinctively. This longing was not coincidence, but the echo of your calling. Even in mundane situations, sitting in a quiet room, walking down an empty street, listening to the wind, you felt a presence, a knowing that you were not like everyone else. Chosen one. Your spirit has always lived between two realms, sensing the physical, but responding to the spiritual. You have felt battles you could not see. You have discerned truths people refuse to speak. You have carried burdens that were not yours because your heart was designed to feel beyond yourself. You have stepped into rooms where your presence exposed hidden intentions, and you have walked away from conversations with a heaviness you couldn't explain until later. These gifts often felt like liabilities because you didn't yet know how to use them. You may have even wished at times that you were less sensitive, less intuitive, less aware, imagining that life might be easier without the constant spiritual noise. But heaven did not create you for ease. Heaven created you for influence, and the gifts that once overwhelmed you will soon become the tools that elevate you. Think of all the moments when your intuition saved you from heartache, when something inside you whispered before disaster struck, when a sudden hesitation kept you from trusting the wrong person. These were not random occurrences, but spiritual instincts operating with precision. Many people move through life unaware of the spiritual realm, but not you. Your awareness is evidence of your calling, a calling that requires the ability to perceive what is invisible and to stand firm in truth, even when surrounded by confusion. Chosen one. Your resilience has become one of your greatest testimonies. You have endured storms that should have shattered you, yet you continued forward with a strength you didn't realize you possessed. This strength is not merely emotional, it is spiritual. It comes from a place deeper than determination, from a source beyond human will. It comes from the divine imprint within you, the same imprint that preserved you through nights of sorrow, seasons of uncertainty, and battles that felt endless. You have walked through fire without losing your identity, and now heaven is preparing to reveal the purpose behind every flame. As your understanding grows, you may begin to notice how every hardship shaped a specific part of your character, how loneliness taught you independence, how rejection taught you discernment, how heartbreak taught you compassion, and how loss taught you gratitude. Each lesson became a stepping stone toward your awakening. Your identity is rising because you have reached a level of spiritual maturity where heaven can now trust you with the deeper things. You are no longer living from wounds, but from wisdom, no longer surviving by strength alone, but walking with revelation. Chosen one. Everything in your spirit is aligning for a divine unveiling. You are standing on the threshold of purpose, ready to walk with the clarity, confidence, and authority heaven has always intended for you. Chosen one. As you continue to move through this sacred unveiling, you may begin to realize that everything in your life, every challenge, every whisper of intuition, every moment of unexpected strength has been orchestrated with a precision far beyond human understanding. You're stepping deeper into the awareness that nothing in your past was wasted. Even the moments that felt unbearable were shaping you into someone capable of carrying spiritual authority with humility and wisdom. Heaven has always known who you are, even in the seasons when you questioned yourself. And now the truth you once sensed only faintly is becoming clearer with every word spoken into your spirit. There were times when you felt your heart pulling you toward something greater, yet couldn't explain why ordinary life never satisfied you. You tried to blend in, to silence your depth, to minimize your insight, so you would not intimidate or disrupt the comfort of those around you. But each attempt left you feeling smaller, more distant from yourself, and further from the truth heaven kept calling you back to. You were never meant to shrink to fit into spaces that could not hold your spirit. You are expanding now, not because you learned something new, but because you are remembering something ancient, something woven into your being long before the world formed opinions about you. Reflect on the subtle ways heaven has guided you. How certain people appeared just when you needed comfort or clarity. How you received unexpected support in moments of crisis. How opportunities you did not chase found their way to you. These experiences were not luck, they were alignment. When heaven chooses someone, everything around them begins to shift, even when they cannot see the shift happening. The protection over your life has been evident in the times you walked away from danger unknowingly, when situations collapsed, before they could harm you, when the wrong people exited your life abruptly, because heaven removed them before they could derail your purpose. These are the signs of someone who has been anointed even in their unawareness. Chosen one, your spirit has endured storms that should have left permanent scars, yet look at how your heart still leans toward compassion. Look at how your soul still seeks truth instead of bitterness. Look at how your mind still rises toward hope, even when circumstances attempted to suffocate it. This resilience is not ordinary, it is prophetic. It is the evidence of someone who was built for more than survival. You were built to lead, to guide, to uplift, to illuminate. You have been entrusted with a depth that few possess, and though it once felt like a burden, it is becoming your greatest strength. The moments when you felt misunderstood were not failures in connection. They were proof that your spirit operates at a frequency many cannot comprehend. You have spoken truths others were not ready to hear, sensed danger before others noticed it, and recognized sincerity in people long before their actions confirmed it. Your intuition has always been ahead of your reality, and that is because heaven placed a spiritual antenna in your soul that keeps you aligned with divine movement. This awareness is not something you earned, it is something you inherited. You were born with it because your calling required it. There were times when you cried in solitude, not because you were weak, but because your spirit was being stretched beyond its previous limits. These tears were part of the refining process, washing away old identities and preparing you for a revelation that your heart is only now beginning to understand. Healing did not come to you through perfection, but through surrender. Growth did not come through comfort, but through endurance. Strength did not come from applause, but from the quiet victories only heaven witnessed. Chosen one, think about the moments when your heart felt heavy for no obvious reason. The world calls it sensitivity, but heaven calls it discernment. You have felt the weight of spiritual battles long before their physical manifestations appeared. You sensed when people were not honest with you, even when their words sounded sincere. You knew when a season in your life was ending, even before circumstances shifted. This knowing is part of your identity. It is the gift that sets you apart. And because of this identity, you often walked a path others did not understand. You found yourself advancing spiritually while those around you remained stagnant. You grew through experiences that others would have crumbled under. You rose after falls that were meant to keep you down. You matured emotionally, mentally, spiritually, not because you had more time or resources, but because heaven accelerated your growth. The chosen do not grow by chance, they grow by design. Your compassion, too, is not ordinary. The reason you can see pain in someone's eyes before they speak is because you were designed to be a healer. The reason you feel deeply when someone suffers is because heaven has shaped your heart to carry empathy that ministers to others without them even realizing it. And the reason you care so intensely, even when people fail to appreciate it, is because you were created to reflect divine love in a world starving for authenticity. Chosen one. Your journey has been one of constant spiritual refinement. Every situation that broke you strengthened a spiritual muscle. Every betrayal sharpened your instinct. Every disappointment deepened your resilience. Every unanswered prayer expanded your faith. And now your identity is surfacing with a brightness that cannot be hidden. You are becoming aware of the divine coding within you, the calling that has followed you through every season, the purpose that is beginning to unveil itself in ways you cannot deny. Nothing about you is random. Not your sensitivity, not your intuition, not your dreams, not your resilience, not your longing for meaning. Every part of you has been intentionally crafted for a destiny that is unfolding even now. Heaven is revealing the truth of who you are, and your spirit is rising to meet that truth with courage and recognition. Chosen one. As this awakening deepens within you, you may begin to notice how your perception of the world around you is changing. Things you once tolerated now feel misaligned with your spirit. Conversations that once entertained you now seem empty. Environments that once felt familiar now feel too small for the magnitude of what you are carrying. This is a sign that your identity is shifting into its rightful place. When heaven elevates someone, their spirit outgrows what their mind has not yet acknowledged. You are being expanded from within, stretched into a version of yourself that mirrors what heaven has always seen in you. And though this expansion may feel uncomfortable at times, it is evidence that you are rising. There have been moments where you sensed this shift before it had words. You felt disconnected from old patterns, even when you didn't know what new direction to move toward. You felt restless without explanation. You felt a quiet stirring, a gentle urging that whispered you were meant for more than the cycle you had been living. These sensations were not confusion. They were confirmation. Heaven often prepares your spirit before preparing your circumstances. And when the inner transformation begins, the outer world eventually bends to match it. I remember walking through a season where everything familiar felt foreign. Places I once belonged no longer felt safe. People I once trusted no longer felt aligned. Opportunities I once pursued no longer felt purposeful. It felt like everything around me was falling apart, but in truth, everything was falling into place. Heaven was removing what could not accompany me into the next elevation, pruning my life of attachments that were too small for the assignment ahead. You, too, have felt this pruning. It showed up as separation loss, unexpected endings, or abrupt shifts that made little sense at the time. But now, as your identity awakens, you can finally see that heaven was creating space for what you were destined to carry. Chosen one. The reason certain people turned against you without cause is because your spirit exposed what they tried to hide. Your presence forced truth to the surface. Your light irritated their darkness. Your integrity disrupted their illusions. People who walk with hidden agendas cannot coexist peacefully with someone who carries spiritual sight. This is why your path has not always been met with applause. This is why some individuals treated you as a threat, even when you only showed them kindness. Your identity provoked reactions long before you understood it. And now that you are beginning to see who you truly are, these past reactions start to make sense. You may also recognize how your heart has always been drawn to people who suffer silently, those who hide their wounds behind smiles, those who carry pain but do not know how to speak it. Your compassion has always been deeper than the surface, reaching into places others avoid. This compassion is not weakness, it is spiritual gifting. Heaven entrusted you with the ability to comfort, guide, and uplift because your heart is shaped by divine hands. The empathy you carry is part of your calling. It is the reason strangers open up to you. It is the reason broken hearts feel safe in your presence. It is the reason you cannot turn away when you sense someone's silent cry. The world may not understand this level of compassion, but heaven celebrates it because it reflects the nature of the one who formed you. And yet, this same compassion has caused you pain. You have given deeply to people who did not appreciate the gift. You have poured into relationships that offered nothing in return. You have forgiven repeatedly while others took advantage of your grace. These wounds are not signs that you loved wrongly, but that you loved as someone anointed to lift others, even when they failed to value it. Heaven saw every tear you shed in silence. Heaven recorded every moment your kindness was mishandled. These experiences did not diminish your identity, they strengthened it. They taught you discernment boundaries and the value of your presence. They prepared you for a season where your love will no longer be wasted on those who cannot recognize its worth. Chosen one. Your journey has been anything but simple, but complexity is the birthplace of calling. You were not shaped in ease, but in endurance. You were not molded in applause, but in isolation. You were not trained in clarity, but in confusion. And through it all, something divine was being built within you, something resilient, wise, discerning, compassionate, and unshakable. Others see your strength, but they do not understand the process that created it. They see your calm, but they do not know the storms you survived. They see your grace, but they do not know the battles you fought in silence. Your identity is a tapestry woven with threads of both suffering and triumph, and heaven is now revealing the beauty of the design. There is a reason your heart longs for purpose. There is a reason your mind seeks understanding. There is a reason your soul refuses to settle. These desires are not random. They are signals from heaven that your identity is unfolding. The person you once were is evolving into the person heaven always intended you to be. You are stepping into a supernatural awareness of your calling, and with each step, clarity replaces confusion, strength replaces fear, and purpose replaces uncertainty. Chosen one. Everything inside you is rising. Your identity is awakening with power and truth, and the path ahead is being illuminated in ways you never experienced before. Chosen one. As you stand in this unfolding light of revelation, you may notice that your spirit is beginning to interpret your past, your present, and even your desires with a depth you never had before. It is as though the veil over your understanding has thinned, allowing you to see beyond the surface of your experiences into the divine architecture beneath them. This clarity is not imagined. It is the evidence of an identity that has been hidden, refined, and guarded by heaven, finally emerging into full awareness. You were not meant to walk in confusion forever. You were not meant to question your worth or underestimate your purpose. You were meant to awaken, to rise, and to recognize the extraordinary blueprint written into your soul. And now that moment of recognition has come. You may feel this awakening through subtle shifts in your thinking, like a deeper quiet settling into your heart, or a sense of inner strength rising in places where you once felt vulnerable. You may find yourself withdrawing from chaos, seeking peace, not because you are tired, but because your spirit is aligning with its true frequency. You may notice an unusual boldness growing within you, nudging you to speak truth where you once stayed silent, to walk away from situations you once tolerated, to trust your instincts without apology. These are not personality changes, they are spiritual upgrade signs that your identity is expanding into the fullness of what heaven has always seen in you. I remember standing in similar moments of transition where it felt as if my inner world was shifting faster than my outer world could catch up. I felt both excitement and uncertainty, both hope and hesitation, both clarity and mystery. There was a sense that something greater was calling me forward, yet I couldn't fully articulate what that greater thing was. It was not a single moment of revelation, but a continuous unfolding, like a scroll being opened one line at a time. As I embraced this process, doors began to open, relationships began to shift, and purpose began to crystallize. And now, chosen one, you are standing in the same sacred threshold where heaven begins to make visible the very things that once lived only in your longing. You've always been drawn to deeper meaning. You've always sensed that your life held a spiritual assignment that set you apart from the ordinary rhythms of the world. Even when you tried to live comfortably in normalcy, Something within you resisted. You were not made for average pathways or shallow pursuits. You were made for impact, transformation, and spiritual visibility. This is why you have felt a constant pull toward growth, even when growth required pain. This is why you have longed for connection that feels spiritually aligned, not just emotionally convenient. This is why you have craved clarity about who you are and why you are here. The longing itself is a sign of your identity. Only those who are called feel such depth in their desire for purpose. Chosen. One Heaven has invested heavily in your development, not because you needed punishment, but because you needed preparation. Your trials did not come to break you, they came to reveal you. Pressure exposes what is hidden and strengthens what remains. Every burden you carried shaped your character. Every challenge you overcame sharpened your discernment. Every betrayal you survived deepened your wisdom. And every moment you kept going when you could have given up proved that your spirit contains a resilience few possess. That resilience is not a product of your strength alone. It is the mark of someone Heaven has chosen, someone whose destiny could not be derailed by the cruelty of others or the unpredictability of life. Your rising identity will also reveal why certain people were drawn to you and why certain others were repelled. Some saw your light and felt comforted by it, while others felt threatened by what they could not understand. You may have noticed how broken people often came to you for healing, how confused souls sought your guidance, how wounded hearts found peace simply by being near you. This is because your presence carries an anointing that ministers to others, even when you are unaware of it. Your energy communicates truth. Your compassion communicates safety. Your wisdom communicates direction. You have been a lighthouse without realizing it. But now Heaven is making you aware of the illumination you carry, so you can walk in it with intention, not accident. At the same time, there were individuals who could not remain in your life because they were intimidated by your authenticity or convicted by your integrity. Your presence agitated their darkness, and instead of choosing healing, they chose distance. This was never rejection of your worth. It was rejection of their own readiness, and though their departure may have wounded you, it also protected you. For as your identity rises, you cannot be tethered to relationships that drain your spirit or diminish your purpose. Heaven is removing the weights that kept you anchored to old versions of yourself, so you can step into the fullness of who you are becoming. Chosen one. The truth emerging within you is that you have never been alone in your journey. Even in your darkest nights, Heaven surrounded you. Even in your deepest confusion, guidance was present. Even in your moments of silence, divine love was speaking to your spirit. And now that you are awakening, you will begin to see the evidence of this in ways that bring both comfort and courage. You will start to recognize divine patterns where you once saw randomness, divine strategy, where you once saw chaos, divine protection, where you once saw loss. Everything you have lived through has been shaping a vessel capable of carrying wisdom, compassion, authority, and influence. You are entering a season where your identity will no longer hide behind fear, insecurity, or uncertainty. The truth of who you are is rising, and with that truth comes responsibility, but also a supernatural grace to walk out your purpose. Your voice will gain strength, your intuition will sharpen, your spirit will grow bold, and your presence will shift atmospheres because it carries the weight of divine assignment. This awakening is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your becoming. Chosen one. You are stepping into a life that reflects the identity Heaven placed within you from the beginning. Chosen one. As this word settles into your spirit, may you feel the holy stillness of heaven wrapping around you. You have not arrived at this moment by accident. You were led here, drawn here, summoned here, because something within you is awakening something ancient, sacred, and written into your identity long before the world ever knew your name. Anointed. One heaven is revealing who you truly are, and the veil that once kept your destiny hidden is lifting. The signs you have sensed, the inner pull, you could not explain the battles that shaped you, and the strength that rose from places you thought were broken, all of it has been guiding you toward this divine recognition. You are stepping into a higher clarity, a deeper awareness, and a supernatural boldness that reflects your true spiritual origin. You are not ordinary. You never were. Heaven marked you, protected you, refined you, and prepared you for this very hour. What you feel rising inside you is not imagination. It is identity. It is purpose aligning with destiny. It is heaven confirming that you are chosen, set apart, and seen. Chosen one, may this moment seal you with courage. May it anchor you in the truth that the God who handles the impossible is the same God unfolding your path. Walk forward now with a reverent confidence, knowing that every step you take is guided, guarded, and graced. Your calling is not distant. It is present. It is active. It is awakening. Stand in it boldly. Live in it fully. Honor it faithfully. I speak blessing over your spirit clarity, to recognize divine signs, strength to carry what you are called to, discernment to separate truth from illusion, and peace that surpasses every storm. May your home be filled with light, your heart with assurance, and your path with doors only heaven can open. May you rise into your sacred identity without fear, without doubt, and without hesitation. If this message stirred something deep within you, chosen one, share your reflection in the comments so others may be strengthened by your journey. And if you feel called, subscribe and stay close so we can continue walking this divine path together. Go now with purpose. Go with faith. Go with the certainty that heaven walks with you. You are chosen and your awakening has begun.